You start your day the same way you have for years. The kettle whistles softly, the mug warms your hands, and that first sip of tea, gentle, quiet, familiar, feels like a small kindness to yourself. It's a ritual, one that brings comfort, peace, and maybe even the belief that it's good for your health. After all, tea is natural, it's herbal, it's soothing. What could possibly be wrong with that? But there's a truth few people talk about. Especially as we age, the same habits we once trusted can begin to shift beneath our feet. Our bodies change, digestion slows, sensitivity increases, and what once felt nourishing might now feel not quite right. You finish your tea and find yourself feeling slightly off. Maybe your stomach churns. Maybe you feel a bit lightheaded or oddly anxious. Maybe it's nothing. Or maybe, just maybe, it's that cup of tea you drank before breakfast. You see, tea is more than just a beverage, it's chemistry. And the way it interacts with your body depends not just on the type of tea, but also on when and how you drink it. For seniors, this becomes even more important because as your body becomes more sensitive, even small timing mistakes can have outsized effects. The good news? You don't need to give up tea, you just need to give it the right moment. And once you do, the same drink that once disrupted your morning might become the very thing that restores your balance. So let's start at the beginning. What exactly happens when you drink tea on an empty stomach? First, your body has been fasting overnight, your stomach is empty, your blood sugar is low. Your acid levels may already be rising in anticipation of food. It's a delicate state. And into that quiet space, you introduce tea. It sounds harmless, but depending on the tea, it may do more than you expect. Black tea, for example, is warm and bold. It carries tradition, but it also carries tannins, bitter compounds that increase stomach acid and irritate the lining of the digestive tract when no food is present to buffer them. The result? For some people, a slight burning sensation. For others, mild nausea or discomfort. On top of that, black tea contains caffeine, not as much as coffee, but enough to activate your nervous system. When your stomach is empty, that activation can hit harder than intended. You might feel a slight sense of urgency, your heart rate might rise, your hands might tremble, and while none of this is dangerous for most people, it's not the peaceful start you were looking for. Now think about green tea. It's celebrated for its antioxidants. It's associated with long life, mental clarity, metabolic health, and yet, like black tea, it contains tannins and caffeine. On an empty stomach, green tea can act as a trigger. It irritates, it stimulates, and instead of making you feel calm and energized, it might leave you queasy or anxious. Some seniors find themselves blaming age for the way they feel in the morning, not realizing it's the tea they're drinking that's creating the problem. And then there's peppermint tea. It smells refreshing. It feels cool. It's often used to aid digestion. But peppermint has a relaxing effect, one that can relax the muscle at the top of your stomach, the one that keeps acid where it belongs. When that muscle relaxes too much, acid can rise into the throat. That's reflux. That's heartburn. That's discomfort again. Not because of the tea itself, but because of when it's consumed. Let's continue with one of the most misunderstood patterns in senior health, the quiet accumulation of discomfort that builds from habits we trust too much. You finish your tea in the morning. You think you've done something gentle for your body, but as the day progresses, you notice little things. Your stomach feels a bit unsettled. You feel a wave of fatigue around mid-morning. You get slightly irritable before lunch, and you chalk it up to age, or sleep, or stress. But here's a possibility most people never consider. What if it all started with the tea? This isn't fear-mongering. This is awareness. Because understanding how tea interacts with your digestion, your blood pressure, your nervous system, your nutrient absorption, especially when consumed on an empty stomach, could change how you feel for the entire day. And for many people, it already has. Let's revisit hibiscus tea, for example. It's beloved for lowering blood pressure. But that same effect, vasodilation, can become a problem when you haven't eaten. Hibiscus compounds relax your blood vessels. That's good. But if your blood sugar is already low, or you're slightly dehydrated, or your heart meds are still active, that drop in pressure may not feel so gentle. You might feel dizzy, or lightheaded, or even faint. One woman in her 70s drank hibiscus tea every morning. She thought she was doing something healthy until she nearly fell. Twice. The solution wasn't giving up the tea, it was simply moving it after breakfast. And the problem disappeared. The same story repeats with ginger tea. Warming, comforting, known for easing nausea. But ironically, it can cause nausea on an empty stomach. That's because ginger stimulates bile and stomach acid. With no food to process, those secretions irritate, they burn, they backfire, and that's the lesson here. Good things, used at the wrong time, can cause harm. But this also opens a door, because when you understand your body's natural rhythm, how digestion works, how caffeine hits, how blood sugar dips, you gain power, you gain choice. Take cinnamon tea. It helps regulate sugar, but drink it on an empty stomach. That sugar-lowering effect can turn into a crash, shakiness, sweating, sudden fatigue. That's not the tea's fault. It's the timing. And that's the key. It's not about cutting out. It's about adjusting. When we talk about aging gracefully, we often focus on exercise, on medication, on sleep, but we rarely talk about rhythm, timing. That's where real power lives. Because the truth is, your body is still wise, still responsive, still capable of comfort, clarity, and energy. It just needs better timing, and that's why we're here. So let me ask you, what if feeling better doesn't require changing everything? What if it simply means changing when? We've explored 6 teas that, while healthy, can disrupt your body when consumed on an empty stomach. Black tea, green tea, peppermint, hibiscus, ginger, cinnamon. Each of them has benefits, but each also has risks when used at the wrong time. The good news? You don't have to give them up. You just need to move them to a better moment in your day. And now let's shift toward the teas that do the opposite. Teas that support, teas that soothe, teas that make digestion easier, energy steadier, and sleep more restful, all by meeting your body when it's ready. Because timing doesn't just prevent harm, it unlocks potential. Let's begin with a name you already know, chamomile. Chamomile is often marketed as a bedtime tea, but its real magic, especially for seniors, unfolds not just at night, but in the quiet moments after meals. Because what you eat doesn't just nourish your body, it triggers a cascade of digestion, hormone signaling, and nervous system regulation. And chamomile steps in at precisely the right moment. Here's why. After eating, especially a large or rushed meal, your stomach begins to work. It churns, it breaks down, your intestines begin to move food along, your blood sugar begins to rise, and your nervous system shifts ideally into rest and digest mode. But for many people, especially older adults, this transition doesn't always go smoothly. Stress, medications, blood pressure shifts, and years of digestive wear can blunt the switch. Instead of feeling calm and nourished, you feel bloated, tired, unsettled. That's where chamomile works its quiet miracle. It contains compounds, apigenin and flavonoids, that gently relax the muscles of the gut, reduce inflammation, and ease cramping. It doesn't push your digestion, it supports it. It doesn't sedate you, it settles you. This is key because as we age, we don't just need stronger remedies, we need smarter ones. Remedies that work with the body, not against it. Many seniors report that drinking chamomile after meals helps reduce belching, gas, and that overly full sensation that can linger after even modest meals. And because it also calms the nervous system, it gently reminds the body, you're safe now. You can rest. You can repair. You don't have to brace. This shift is profound. It doesn't just affect the stomach. It affects your entire state. Your breath slows. Your thoughts become quieter. You feel grounded. That's not an accident. It's biology. Chamomile increases parasympathetic activity, the very opposite of fight or flight. It tells your body, the meal is done, the work is complete, and it's time to absorb, assimilate, and exhale. And here's something few people realize. Improving digestion isn't just about the gut. It's about sleep, because poor digestion, especially at night, can delay and disrupt deep rest. Many seniors who struggle with waking up frequently or falling asleep with a tight stomach are actually dealing with post-meal dysregulation, not sleep issues. And chamomile, when taken after dinner, acts like a bridge from fullness to peace, from movement to stillness, from effort to ease, all from a single cup. You don't need to wait for bedtime to enjoy chamomile. You simply need to place it where it belongs. After meals, when its effects can ripple through your system in the most natural, supportive way. If you've ever ended a meal feeling heavier than you expected, if you've ever felt tension in your stomach despite eating something small, if your nights are restless without a clear reason, chamomile might be the missing piece. This isn't a trend. It's not hype. It's centuries of wisdom backed by modern understanding of how the nervous system and gut talk to each other. Chamomile doesn't just calm your body, it teaches your body what calm feels like over and over again. And in a world that rushes us constantly, that lesson alone is worth sipping slowly. Let's continue with 5 more teas that deserve a place in your after-meal ritual, each offering its own unique kind of support. First, fennel tea, not as well known as chamomile, but just as gentle. Fennel contains natural oils that relax your digestive tract, ease gas, and support smoother bowel movements. It's particularly helpful after meals that leave you feeling bloated or overly full. Fennel doesn't force digestion, it encourages it in a subtle way that feels almost effortless. And unlike stimulant-based teas, fennel doesn't disrupt your sleep. It invites calm while keeping your digestion moving forward. It's especially supportive for seniors who experience gas, cramping, or sluggish digestion after eating. It gently helps the system flow without triggering urgency or discomfort. Some people chew fennel seeds after meals, an old practice still used in many cultures. Fennel tea captures that same benefit, but in a warm, soothing, hydrating form. It's also caffeine-free, so you can enjoy it even in the evening without worry. This makes fennel tea a quiet favorite, one that doesn't demand attention, but earns its place in your routine with gentle, lasting relief. It may not be trendy, but it's trusted. And in the world of senior digestion, that trust matters. Next, let's turn to a plant that surprises most people. Dandelion. Yes, the one that grows in your lawn. But when brewed into tea, it becomes one of the most underrated allies for aging digestion and liver health. Dandelion tea can be made from the root or the leaves. Both offer benefits. It's slightly bitter, but that bitterness is part of the magic because bitter compounds stimulate bile production, and bile is critical for breaking down fats, especially after heavier meals. For seniors, this support is crucial because with age, liver function can slow. Medications, processed food, or alcohol over time can further strain the system. Dandelion tea gently encourages the liver to keep doing its job, processing nutrients, filtering waste, keeping digestion on track. It also acts as a mild diuretic, helping reduce fluid retention without robbing your body of essential minerals. Let's return to dandelion tea for a moment, because its role isn't just about liver support, it's about restoring balance. After a rich meal, one with meat, oils, cheese, or cream, your body often feels sluggish. The heaviness lingers. You feel full beyond comfort. That's not weakness. It's your body asking for help. Dandelion steps in quietly. It helps move things along. It helps break things down. It supports the whole cycle, from the liver to the gut to elimination. Many seniors find that drinking dandelion tea after meals helps with regular bowel movements. It's not a laxative, but it promotes rhythm. Over time, this consistency brings a sense of control, a sense that your body is still responsive, still yours to guide. And the bitterness? That's not a flaw. That's the signal. In traditional medicine, bitter herbs have always been used to wake up digestion. Dandelion is one of the best. If the flavor feels strong, try it with a touch of honey or pair it with a mild snack. But don't skip it, because few teas offer such complete digestive support in such a simple, natural way. Now let's move to something gentler, sweeter, more familiar. Rooibos tea, often pronounced rooibos, this South African herb is naturally caffeine-free, rich in antioxidants, and smooth on the stomach. But don't let its softness fool you. Rooibos is powerful in quiet ways. It contains aspalathin, a unique flavonoid that helps support heart health, reduce inflammation, and improve blood sugar balance. After meals, this tea helps blunt the spike, that sudden rise in glucose that can leave you feeling tired, foggy, or crashing an hour later. Rooibos gently smooths that curve. And for seniors managing diabetes, prediabetes, or simply trying to avoid energy dips, this can make a world of difference. It's also free from tannins, the compounds in black and green tea that can upset the stomach or block nutrient absorption. This makes rooibos ideal after food, especially for those with sensitive digestion. And there's more, because rooibos also supports emotional rhythm. Its naturally sweet, earthy taste creates a sensory cue, a feeling of closure. You've eaten, you've nourished, now you can shift. Rooibos doesn't push, it doesn't sedate, it simply anchors you. For seniors trying to reduce snacking, manage weight, or create calmer evenings, a post-dinner rooibos ritual can become a powerful pause. It says, "You're done for today. You can rest, not because you're old, but because you've earned the peace." And that peace starts with the small things, like a cup that asks nothing from you, but gives so much in return. Let's move now to a tea that works quietly, but deeply. Lemon balm. If you've never heard of it, you're not alone. But once discovered, it often becomes a senior's secret weapon for both digestion and peace of mind. Lemon balm belongs to the mint family, but it doesn't taste like peppermint. Instead, it carries a light, citrusy aroma that's refreshing, not overpowering. And beneath that lightness lies a powerful effect. Lemon balm contains compounds that interact directly with the GABA receptors in your brain, the same pathways that regulate calmness, relaxation, and emotional balance. For seniors who find their stomach tension is linked to stress or racing thoughts, this tea offers a two-for-one solution. You don't just relax your body, you relax your mind. And when that happens, digestion naturally improves. After a meal, especially dinner, lemon balm helps ease bloating, reduce gas, and soothe cramping. But it doesn't overstimulate. It doesn't act like a trigger. It simply helps your gut reset, gently and thoroughly. It's particularly helpful for seniors who feel tight in the stomach after eating, even if the meal wasn't heavy, because that tightness isn't always physical. Sometimes it's emotional. A day full of little stressors, family friction, financial worries, news, loneliness, all of it lands in the gut. And lemon balm helps release that invisible tension. For those who struggle to fall asleep after evening meals or feel mentally switched on too late, this tea can act like a gentle dimmer switch, lowering the volume without making you drowsy. It doesn't knock you out. It simply signals, you can unwind now. That alone is a gift. And for those with mild anxiety around food, worrying about digestion or reacting to every small sensation, lemon balm restores trust. It says your body is handling this. Let go. The flavor is mild, easily blended with chamomile or rooibos if you want variety. And because it's caffeine-free, you can sip it after any meal, even right before bed. Many people find that just the aroma is enough to begin slowing down their breath. That first inhale is a kind of exhale, and that's the real power of lemon balm. It doesn't fix one symptom. It creates a moment of pause, of peace, of parasympathetic reset, when the body says, I'm safe, I can rest. In a fast, overstimulating world where even meals feel rushed or transactional, that feeling is rare and needed. Lemon balm tea doesn't just aid digestion, it aids life after the meal, and that's what sets it apart. Now, finally, let's meet a tea that's often misunderstood. Oolong. It sits between green and black tea, both in flavor and effect. Not too strong, not too light, but just right. Oolong contains moderate caffeine, but it also includes theanine, an amino acid that promotes calm alertness. For seniors looking to stay mentally sharp after lunch or during early afternoon hours, oolong can be the perfect companion. Let's return to oolong tea because this one sits in the middle between the sharpness of green tea and the strength of black tea. It's often overlooked, not trendy, not herbal, just balanced. And for seniors, balance is everything. Oolong has just enough caffeine to help you stay alert after meals, but not so much that it disrupts your calm. And with its natural theanine content, it actually promotes a state of calm focus. The sweet spot for those mid-afternoon hours when the body is digesting, but the mind still wants to function. It also supports metabolism. Research has shown that oolong can enhance fat oxidation and support insulin sensitivity. Not aggressively, not in a burn fat fast kind of way, but in a steady, body-friendly way that matches the rhythm of age. What makes oolong especially appealing is how it feels after you drink it. You don't get jittery, you don't get foggy, you don't get bloated, you get balanced. That word again. And balance, at this stage of life, is the highest form of strength. It means being energized but not anxious, relaxed but not sluggish, clear-headed but not sharp-edged. That's what oolong delivers. Now let's pause, because at this point in the video, you've met 12 teas. 6 you should be cautious with on an empty stomach, even if they're healthy, and 6 you should strongly consider making part of your after-meal ritual. Let's review quickly. The handle with care list: black tea, green tea, peppermint, hibiscus, ginger, cinnamon. Each of these has benefits, but when taken at the wrong time, they can upset your system, lower your blood sugar too much, or simply throw off your morning rhythm. Now the after-meal heroes: chamomile, fennel, dandelion, rooibos, lemon balm, oolong. These teas meet your body where it already wants to go, into digestion, calm, absorption, and restoration. But this isn't just about tea. This is about listening, because your body, right now, is speaking to you. Every time you eat, every time you sip, every time you rest, and when you respond with care, with the right tea at the right time, you build a rhythm that brings ease instead of effort. This is where wellness stops being a theory and becomes a habit. You don't need to overhaul everything. Just one change, one shift in timing, one cup placed where it belongs. Not randomly, but intentionally. A morning tea doesn't have to be a mistake, but maybe it needs to wait. An after-meal tea doesn't have to be optional. Maybe it should become sacred. That's what we've uncovered here. And in the final part of this journey, we'll bring all of this together. Why timing matters more as we age, how small rituals shape big outcomes, and why honoring your body's needs, one cup at a time, might be the most powerful health decision you make all day. Let's take a step back, not just from tea, but from the bigger picture. Because everything we've talked about today isn't just about what you drink. It's about how you treat yourself, with timing, with care, with the quiet confidence that your body still deserves precision, not just routine. As we age, we're often told to simplify, to accept discomfort as normal, to expect our systems to slow down and settle for less than we once had. But that's not wisdom. That's resignation. Wisdom is saying, I still deserve comfort. I still deserve energy. I still deserve peace, not by chance, but by design. And that design starts with awareness. When you understand that something as small as when you sip your tea can shift your mood, your blood pressure, your digestion, your day, that's not small. That's everything, because it means you still hold influence, still have levers to pull, still have rhythm to shape. And this isn't just theory, this is lived experience. Thousands of seniors just like you have changed the course of their energy, mood, and sleep by doing one thing differently: moving their tea to the right part of the day. And that movement doesn't just impact digestion, it impacts how you feel in the hours after. You're no longer chasing calm, you're living inside it. You're not reacting to discomfort, you're preventing it, one cup at a time. You begin to notice you're not as bloated, you're not crashing mid-morning, you're not restless at night, your stomach isn't as reactive, your nerves aren't as jumpy. You've built a new rhythm, not with medication, not with massive effort, but with attention, with timing, with tea. And that's where the shift happens, because now tea isn't just a ritual, it's a response to the life you've lived, to the body you inhabit now, to the wisdom you've earned about what works and what doesn't. You're not guessing anymore. You're choosing. And choice, even in the smallest things, is what brings freedom back into your health. And here's something deeper. This isn't just about health. It's about agency. Because in a world that often treats aging as a series of losses, you just reclaim something, not through force, not through rebellion, but through wisdom, by listening to your body, and more importantly, by responding. You didn't ignore that discomfort. You didn't accept that morning nausea as normal. You didn't chalk up your lightheadedness to just age. You looked closer, you asked a question, and you found an answer as simple as moving your cup to a later hour. That's agency, that's power, and that's why this isn't just about tea, it's about everything that comes after it. Because once you feel that control return, you begin to ask other questions. What if I walk after meals? What if I shift my dinner earlier? What if I pay closer attention to the way I breathe when I eat? It starts with tea, but it never ends with tea. Because now you've remembered your body responds to attention, your energy responds to rhythm, your well-being responds to choices. You haven't lost control. You've just been asked to find a new way to hold it. And this new way, with all its gentleness, its stillness, its quiet intelligence, suits you. You're no longer chasing youth. You're cultivating ease, not pretending to be 30 again, but honoring what it means to be 60, 70, 80, and still vibrant in the ways that matter. Because comfort is not a luxury. It's a sign that your body is being heard. And clarity is not a coincidence. It's the outcome of small things done at the right time. You've earned this. You've lived long enough to deserve health that fits you, not someone else's schedule. And if all it takes to unlock a more comfortable, more grounded day is a simple shift in when you drink your tea, why not start now? So here's your invitation, not to overhaul your life, not to memorize another health list, not to chase one more trend, but to listen, really listen, to how your body feels after each sip, after each meal, after each small choice. To notice what brings calm, what brings clarity, what brings ease, and then to honor that. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be present. You don't need to control everything. You just need to care enough to adjust the small things you can control. Because when you do, you begin to feel the difference in your energy, your focus, your digestion, your sleep. You begin to trust your body again, to walk in partnership with it, not in frustration, but in quiet alignment. That's not just health, that's healing. So tomorrow morning when you reach for your tea, pause, ask, is this the right tea for this moment? Is this what my body needs now? And if the answer is yes, and sip slowly, sip proudly, sip with the knowing that this small act is not so small. It is self-respect. It is self-care. It is self-leadership in one of its most elegant forms. And if the answer is no, wait, eat first. Choose a better time, because now you know what's possible. And once you know, you cannot unknow. From this point forward, you have power in every pore, and we'll be here every step of the way to help you sip smarter, live gentler, and feel stronger with every passing year. If this video helped you feel more confident, subscribe to Senior Health and You for more science-backed, peace-driven tips designed with your rhythm in mind. Your next cup starts your next chapter, and it's going to be a good one.